Do you want to sell your coins or bullion on eBay, or are you curious about how eBay works for other items? Well, today I'm going to go into how to sell coins and bullion on eBay, and a lot of these lessons could be tied to many other items that you may want to sell on eBay, but specifically, we are going to refer to coins and bullion. If you're someone with a large collection, you're looking to thin out, or you're offloading some items to make some extra money or to purchase maybe something else, this may be for you, and we'll explain why. When you do most sales, you're trying to either sell to a coin shop or you're looking for a personal sale. And there are plenty of places to list items, but a lot of them get bad reviews in general from the community because of scammers and people listing things that are not error coins as error coins, inflating prices and such. So on these more free websites, things like Facebook Marketplace and Macari and some of these other third-party applications that may be free to list, you're going to suffer some of that problem of people being very skeptical about your listing. So a lot of people do turn to eBay. Now, the good thing that you need to know is that on eBay, you probably already have a seller account. You just need to activate it. As long as you have a login on eBay, you can then take your buyer's account and make it a seller's account simply by listing an item. It's that easy. And so what we're going to go through now are some tips and tricks on how to go about your listings, how to do the research so that you make the best listing possible, you get the best price that you can, and how to kind of analyze the market a little bit so that you know, is this thing really worth listing, or maybe should I wait for a more opportune time? So let's get into it. Okay, and here we are on eBay. So as you see here, this is what most people see. Obviously, I'm past the home page, and I've typed in a 1913 San Francisco Mint cent, or penny as some refer to it. And here you can see various listings. Some go for way more than others depending on the condition of the coin. We all know this, and that's why listing raw coins is a bit tougher, because you have to try to do your best to assign a rough grade and a price range. So in a lot of those cases, if you don't mind or you're unsure, my bet is to hopefully list it as an auction, and then the people that do find it will bid accordingly for the condition of the coin that they think it's in. So if they're a little more knowledgeable and they think it's a very fine, they're going to bid in that price point to try to get that coin. So if you're having trouble with the grade of a coin, you may want to list it as an auction and see where it lands. You could always set a reserve, but you have to be careful not to set it too high. So with that being said, you can see this, and these are active listings on eBay. Now, this is what a lot of people do when they're researching eBay for items. They'll come up here, they'll type something in, and they'll look at what people are selling it for. This is the number one pet peeve that I have with eBay sellers, buyers, just anyone. They will look at this list and say that, okay, a 1913 S wheat cent, and this one they're saying is maybe AU, definitely brown, is, going for 115 bucks. So mine obviously is a little lower than that, so I should be able to get 75 bucks for it. Not necessarily. We do not know if this is an accurate price for this coin. Now, this looks like a reputable coin dealer, and I'm not besmirching them. I'm just saying, just because something is listed for a certain price does not necessarily mean that it's worth that price or that it will sell for that price. So what I want you to do is this. Assume you're here on this search, right? 1913 S cent. Come up here. This is on desktop. You can do the same on mobile, but you have to go through the filters, and I'm not going to go through that description and example here, but it is possible. Just play around with the filters. I believe it's towards the bottom, and you will find what I'm about to show you. So on the desktop, hit advanced, and this is the search that you already have in, automatically defaults here, and you can kind of clear it up a little more. But what you want to do is come all the way down here, and these are the results. So you're looking for, where is it? Here. Search including sold items, and click this button. You see completed items also goes in here, but that's fine. Come all the way down, hit search. So now what we're looking at is all of the recently sold listings for 1913 San Francisco Mint wheat cent and the prices they've sold for, and hopefully, assuming the seller took correct pictures, we kind of get an idea of what that coin looks like and the condition that it's in. So here's one. Doesn't look too bad. You might be able to find something like this in a bankroll, and it went for $20 plus 5 shipping. So that gives you an idea. Here's one, maybe a little more brown, maybe a little more worn. Looks like it has a scratch on it. What this means here is the seller had listed it for $19.99, and they had the best offer option on there. Now, eBay holds its cards and doesn't want to humiliate anybody. So what they do is they just cross out that price. You know it's sold for some number less than that. They don't tell us what the number is. And in this case, it had free shipping. So we know that this one sold for somewhere below $20. I'm guessing not far below $20. And so you can kind of look through here. Look at this one. That's a gem, probably BU or pretty darn close to it, possibly even, a medium grade mint state or higher. I don't know. I'm not a coin grading guy, but if this is the exact coin that they're listing and it looks to be, then that's sold for $118. So that gives you an idea compared to that one that we saw earlier. So give or take, maybe that one was listed a little high, but it may still be the best one on the market right now. So you got to look at things like this when you do the research to list something. Now, these are raw coins, and that can always be a bit subjective. The easy thing to do, we're going to keep it easy for the search. So I just typed in MS64 Walking Liberty. We're not worried about PCGS, NGC, ANAX, any of that at the moment. What we're worried about is looking at how specific the price points are. And so here's a 1917, tells you it's sold for $550. This is exactly the information you need. So you know if you have this 1917, I'm assuming there's no mention, so I'm assuming it's Philadelphia, Walking Liberty in an MS64 holder, in this case from PCGS, you know that you should be able to sell that for somewhere in the neighborhood of $550. This is valuable information because it gives you an idea of the market. And here you see, again, some best offers accepted, but it's still valuable information because you know they went slightly or somewhere below this. Chances are they didn't go too far from their asking price. And so you know it went for a little less than that number. It still gives you a very good idea of the rough price range that your coin might be. Now, PCGS, NGC, you can add those search terms and narrow it down to your specific coin in your specific grade. And this is why selling graded coins on eBay, if you can buy them originally for the correct price, is a very lucrative thing because the margins are pretty much set. You just have to make sure that you're buying at the right price. Otherwise, you may not be able to sell it and make a profit. And here's why. Because of fees. So in exchange for getting in front of probably the world's largest auction site, you have to pay fees for listing. And not, well, I misspoke. You don't pay fees for listing. You pay fees on the item when it sells. So when the item sells, based on a fee schedule that I will show you momentarily, you pay a fee based on that item for eBay's contribution of providing you this site and putting you in front of all of these people to sell your item. Now, it varies based on the item and its classification. But what we will do is go over here to their fee schedule. And so we're going to get into some of the advanced stuff here in a minute. But here's, okay, zero insertion fee. We're not going into any of the crazy stuff. Here is the starter store fees. Now, again, I'm not going to go into all of them. But on here, the most important one is number 3 here. Coins and paper money and bullion. And bullion. Remember that. So everything is 13.25%. The total amount of the sale. Here's another important point. Total amount of the sale includes shipping. Because way back in the day, what people were doing to try to circumvent eBay's fees would be to have a low listing price, but a huge shipping price. And so because eBay wasn't putting fees on the shipping price, then people were avoiding paying those fees for selling on eBay. And so eventually they caught on, and their only solution that they could come up with was to charge you that percentage on the entire sale, shipping and all. So take that as it may, whether you charge them for shipping or you include the price of shipping in the price of the item and offer free shipping, either way you list it, you are going to pay the same percentage on that sale. So 13.25%. So in this instance, what we're going to say is we're going to run through one. So let's go back to original listings. I have a 1945. Let's say it's a D Mercury dime. So let's assume that we bought one of these. Now again, these are listings, right? So that one's full bands. We can't go with that one. So let's just look at some other listings. Some people are listing it for 80. We're close to, oh, that's a 67. That doesn't work. That's a 64. Okay. Apparently we're having trouble. That's a PCGS. MS63 full bands. 28. That seems like a really good price. Anyhow, so let's assume that we have one of these. And we're trying to, maybe I was too specific. How are 63s running on full bands? This is very, 66 full bands. Okay, so anyway, wow, there's a lot of 63s with full bands. That's surprising. Anyhow, so we're looking at some of these coins. So what we want to do is look at these and try to figure out, if we buy one, how much should we buy it for? But let's assume that we paid $30 for one. What are we going to have to sell that at to make a profit? So you pull up your handy dandy calculator here and you say we paid $30. Let's even say it's going to cost us $4 to ship it, and that's being modest. So let's say $34, right? To figure out our starting point to break even, we times that by 1.1325. So what this is one whole, that's 100%, and then the 0.1325 is the 13.25% that eBay's fees are. And then we hit enter or equals, and so we get $38.50. So we don't break even on this coin until $38.50. So what we do is then we take this and we'll take it over to sold listings and see if we can find out, can we make money on this dime? So here's one. Now again, this one has the full bands, and I'm surprised on that because I didn't expect 63s to have so many full bands. But here's one without. Okay, so in this case, it's saying a 1945D Mercury Silver Dime MS63 NGC, our exact listing, was a buy it now. That's very important. Was a buy it now for $25 with $4.50 shipping. So what that's saying is that if we list ours at, something higher than 38.50, we are probably going to struggle to sell it. Now, here's another 63, but again, that one's got the full bands. So the full bands can grab you a little bit more money, but it looks like what we're finding out here is that we paid retail for this dime. And so because we paid retail for this dime, if we really need to offload it, we're probably going to take some kind of a loss on it. Now, is it going to be that 13.25%? It just might. It just depends. We could throw it up for an auction. Maybe at the time it's the only one listed and we got lucky and maybe it fetches a few extra dollars. But it looks like on that one, we didn't buy at a good enough price to be able to sell and make a profit. And that is the key for eBay. Unless you're just liquidating and you're, really needing to move stuff and you're going to suffer maybe some loss, but you need that cash income, then if you're really doing this for profit, you make money when you buy. So you have to buy smart, haggle at those coin shops, haggle on those prices, try to catch the deal any way you can because you need every dollar to help you overcome not only eBay's fees, but then whatever you might get over that from the seller or from the buyers and bidders to then be your profit on that item. So it's very important to look again, let's go back here at active listings. So let's assume again we're scratching the chalkboard on this, and let's just assume we got this 1945D and we're looking to sell. Well, as I'm scrolling here, there is no shortage of 1945Ds. And as we've seen, a lot of them, even in the MS63, are full bands. Here's a regular one. And this is a good example, 34 with 4 shipping. So they're going to have a tough time selling this dime because it's a little on the higher price range. But a lot of these have full bands, and so they're kind of a step higher in terms of grade, but there is no shortage right now of 1945D Merc dimes. So we're, even if we have a compelling price, we're still fighting all of these other listings for sales. So that's going to make it harder. Now, if you search listings and you don't see a whole lot of those listings for that item, like you'll see here, no exact matches found, and that's just because of basically the way that I typed it in. But if you see no matches found and you're really not seeing your listing for your coin or your piece of bullion, then you will benefit from that by possibly being the only one on the market, and thus if somebody's looking for that, you're the only one that has it. You may even get more money for that if you're doing something like an auction. So keep that in mind. Now the next thing about the fees. So you've set up your shop, you've made some listings, you're starting to get some sales, stuff is rolling in. What do? Well, you have to make a decision on what your goal with eBay is. Do you want to turn this into some kind of a business? Maybe you would like to work your way into a coin shop eventually, and this is your first stepping stone of getting your feet wet and making some sales before you can feel comfortable making that next move. Or maybe you're just trying to liquidate some of your collection and purchase something else down the road. Either way, you have to consider that fee. And as we talked about, that 13.25% can be very tough. but there's a way around it. The only problem is you have to sell at volume. So as you have a store, as we saw earlier, that was called starter fees. So anybody with a starter store level gets those fees. So down here, we have the basic, premium, and anchor store subscribers. Now, in this, you have to pay an additional fee to eBay. One fee, one time, once a month, to get what is essentially lighter fees on all your items. So if you're planning on, or your store is already selling at volume, this could be your bread and butter. The icing on the cake, let's say you're already buying at pretty good prices and you're able to make profits. If you take this step, you're going to be saving so much money because, where is it? Where is it? Okay, here we are. So as you get down back in here into this fee schedule for these types of memberships, most coins and paper money categories are 9% the total sale up to 4,000 and 2.35 on the portion of the sale over 4,000. That is huge, especially if you're listing higher dollar items. I don't know too many people doing that, but still, you go from 13.25% all the way down to 9. That's big savings. And then on bullion, remember your differences between coins and bullion. We're talking silver rounds, silver bars, not minted by governments, not with any kind of denominated face value. Bullion, 7.35%. Now that's still high, and it's still going to provide a challenge. But if you're already doing okay, and you're already making sales and already able to squeeze some profit out of those sales, this is going to be huge for you because you cut down from 13.25% all the way down to 7.35, 7 1/3, we'll call it. That's huge on bullion, and even a good spread on the coins and paper money. But the key is you have to be selling enough to cover the cost of that membership. And so we'll go up here and we'll look at the membership cost. So the basic is the entry level into that pricing for that upgraded fee schedule. And that is the monthly renewal is $27.95. Or if you're for sure in it for the long haul and you're willing to take that dive, you can save even more money by doing the yearly renewal, paying it all at once for 12 months. So that would be $21.95 times 12 months. I'm not doing the math, you can do it. But if you're calculate that percentage in your total sales, so let me go back over here, I'll pull up my store. So I don't know exactly where to get all of my sales, but store performance sales. Okay, here we go. So if I come in here, I haven't been selling that much. I've been traveling for work, but total sales including taxes. You don't want to really include the taxes, but you could if you're just looking for a figure. So I've sold $116 in the last 31 days. So based on that, if you run that number, so clear 116.22 times 0.1325 to find out what that fee is going to be on all those sales, and that's only $15. So in this case, at the volume that I'm currently doing in my store this month, it's not worth it for me to have that upgraded account because I'm not selling enough to cover the cost of the membership. But if I were, and I'm selling even more than that, I'd be an idiot not to and get everything that I can from my sales in profit and avoid the fees as much as possible. The important thing here is making sure, number one, you try to, whenever possible, take exact pictures of the coin or item that you're selling because condition always matters, even in terms of bullion. I've seen some bullion looks a little rougher and people will pay for it, but they're not going to jump up and down for it. But if it's in nicer condition, maybe it's been kept in a capsule and it's in really good condition, somebody may pay a little extra. It may just be that thing that makes them bid $1 more than somebody else. So keep that in mind. Take good pictures of your coins and items, and take pictures of the exact item whenever possible. Also, I'm not going to show you all of this, but when you go to make a listing, you can go in and crop the photos. So what you see here, this person has done, is they took a pretty good photo. Could be a little more clear, but it's not bad by comparison. So what this person did was they cropped in on that image so that, number one, the picture of the item is as big as possible. And number two, you don't have anything else distracting you. You're looking right at the item. They even went so far as here to get a good close-up picture of the dime and then cropped that into a circle. I don't believe they probably did that with eBay. They probably did that with another program, but still much appreciated by the buyers because now they can get a good look at that item. So that is key. Also, your description. Here is a very good description. It's long, it's lengthy, it has a lot of information. Sometimes it's more about the store and the other items that they may have, but in a lot of cases, you want to talk about the specific item. In this case, they kind of, talk about it and tell you about their pricing and their guarantee that you'll like your item and you get your money back if you have any problems. So these are all good things, but your description of the coin or item needs to be accurate. And I myself made this mistake early on, and I admitted it to the seller. The seller called me out on it. We went back and forth, and we were able to come to an agreement, thankfully, and I'm very appreciative of that buyer for this. But and I'll tell you, I made the mistake of copying a description that I briefly read on another location that was describing the item that I was listing. My problem was, what I somehow skipped over and didn't realize was that description mentioned that the item came in a wooden display box. And so my description on my item listing then said the item came in a wooden display box, which the buyer, rightfully so, did ding me in my review for inaccurate description, I think. So it's a fair point. And I made the mistake. They called me out on it. We were able to come to an amicable agreement, but it was a huge lesson learned, not only to proofread anything that you do happen to copy, but to make sure that you, in its entirety, know exactly what it says. Words like things about condition, things about luster, you have to watch all of them, because if that doesn't apply to your coin or your item, you may have to edit those out or rephrase, or however you may want to do that to make sure that your listing is accurate. So a lot of people will tell you in the coin community, in the stacking community, that eBay is a little sketchy when you go to buy. And that is true. When you see some of those really fake listings, when you see some of those really inflated prices, and you just know that there's something going on there, yes, be very wary of those. Look at your seller. Look at the seller's rating. Look at his reviews. Look at how many things, their reviews. Look at how many things they've sold as a store and gauge for yourself. Now, everybody has to start. So if it looks like a good listing and somebody does have a low sales count or whatever, maybe give them the benefit of the doubt and think that they're just starting, because everybody has to at some point. But past that, you really have to scrutinize not only the item but the seller and make sure that you're buying from a reputable source. People wouldn't be selling coins and bullion on here if they weren't selling and making a profit. So it is possible, and if you're curious about how to sell on eBay, try some of these tips and let me know how it goes. Did you learn anything new about eBay in this video? I know it was very long, but if you could, comment below and tell me about that. Or if you still have a question, let me know in the comments and I will do my best to answer that for you. As always, I appreciate everyone's time and attention. This was a really long video, and I appreciate anyone who made it this far to the end. I will see you in the next one, and happy hunting out there.